Thank you. 2.5. A number so small that when you round it up to the closest whole number, 3, you can count it on a single hand. 2.5. That is the percentage that Black women make up of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics workforce. Despite being the fastest growing occupational field, Black women make up only 2.5% of STEM workers. My dream for the longest time was to be a part of that 2.5%. Of course, when I came up with my ultimate plan of being some kind of scientist, wasn't really sure which one yet, I had no idea how small that percentage actually was. I just knew that I wanted to work with science and math when I was older, and I stuck with that as best as I could. In preschool, I was the kid that would do science experiments with the older kids instead of nap time. My baking soda volcano didn't exactly make me the next Marie Curie, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and honestly, that's what really matters, right? As I got a little bit older, I loved to go to the library, and my favorite books to get were Basher books. Does anyone else remember this? There are these books that taught about science and math using these cute little cartoon characters. And I don't know how many other people read them, but I was obsessed with them. And my favorite ones were about biology, chemistry, math, and astronomy. Eventually, I got my mom to buy me these books so that I could keep the cool posters in the back of them. And I used to hang them up all around my room. I still actually have one of them up. And I would borderline talk my mom's ear off about all of the cool anatomy facts that I learned from them and other books that I found. Come first grade, I was dead set on being a doctor, being part of that 2.5%. Fast forward 8 or so years later, my freshman year of high school, I was still working towards that goal while also trying to be a typical teenager too. So one day, an old friend of mine decided to catch up, so we wanted to see a movie. We picked Black Panther because even though I wasn't a major superhero fan, she really liked Marvel, and I heard a lot of great things about the movie, so I thought I'd give it a shot. I definitely wasn't disappointed because I loved everything about that movie. The action, the outfits, the cinematography, the soundtrack, just everything. What I found that I liked the most, though, was a particular character, Shuri. For those of you that don't know, Shuri is the super genius teen princess of Wakanda. She's a master engineer, designing all of the complex and super cool technology in the Black Panther universe. For example, she used nanotechnology to design T'Challa's suit that was practically bulletproof and fit into only a single necklace. And she designed Wakanda's railway system that used magnetic levitation and could run at lightning speed. What I found that I liked the most about Shuri, though, was that I could see myself in her. Her skin looked like mine, her braids looked like mine. She really reinforced in me the idea that Black girls can be great in STEM. As I left the movie theater that day, I really started to realize how small that 2.5% actually is. Up until that point in 9th grade, I was either the only one or one of 2 or 3 Black girls in every one of my science and math classes. And this would continue throughout high school up until last year, which is my junior year. I started to wonder, why is that? A major reason for Black girls' lack of participation in STEM is a lack of representation. Shuri is a great character, and she was really important to me, but we need more than just 1 or 2 fictional characters to increase this representation. We really don't learn much about Black female scientists or mathematicians in school, and it's not that they don't exist, but because we rarely learn about them, it certainly starts to feel like that. Schools don't put much of an emphasis on the very real impact Black women have had in STEM, and because of that, we implicitly believe that either there are no Black women in STEM or that STEM isn't the place for Black women. And that's reinforced by the scientists that we do learn about in school and in media, like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Victor Frankenstein, even Bill Nye. Think, when I say scientist, what is the first image that pops into your head? Probably an older man wearing glasses, a lab coat, and he's most likely white. Black girls see this, and they're led to believe that they don't fit the bill for the typical scientist because they're in such stark contrast with this archetypal image that we're all taught to have. Studies have even shown that Black girls internalize a feeling of inferiority in math and science classes because of this. Now, there has been an initiative to increase women's participation in STEM. It's been working. We still have a long way to go, but we've made improvements. But women of color are still incredibly underrepresented in these fields. Back to the fact that only 2.5% of Black women, only 2.5% of STEM jobs are held by Black women. A possible way to increase this percentage is to actually teach about Black female scientists and mathematicians in school throughout the school year, rather than just during Black History Month or during Women in Science Day. Now, that's not to say that Black History Month isn't an important time. It's a great time that shines a spotlight on people that have generally been ignored by history. But we can't only restrict our conversation to these influential women to a single month in the year, because people tend to forget about them once those 4 weeks are up. Black women have had an influential impact in STEM, and it's often ignored. For example, does anyone recognize the name Katherine Johnson? Maybe a few. How about John Glenn? Probably more, because during the space race, he was the first American to orbit the Earth. Katherine Johnson, a Black female mathematician in NASA, was largely responsible for the math that was required to ensure John Glenn's orbit. In addition, who has learned about sickle cell anemia in high school biology class? Probably a lot of you. Did you know that one of the pioneering researchers on this disease was a Black female physician named Angela Dorothy Ferguson? And one of the blood tests that she industrialized has become the standard test for sickle cell anemia in infants in 40 US states by 2010. Yet another example. How many of you have Google Maps or Apple Maps on your phone or have a GPS in your car? Probably most people. That technology would not exist without the efforts of Gladys West, a Black female mathematician whose calculations on satellites were instrumental in developing GPS technology. These three women are only a few of many hidden figures whose efforts need to be acknowledged. There has been a push to spread more information about these women in the media, such as in the 2016 book and film Hidden Figures. That's where you may recognize Katherine Johnson's name, or on social media, but we need to also talk about them in schools. By integrating lessons about these influential women throughout the school year, it reinforces in Black girls that not only can they succeed in STEM, they can change the world with it too. Now, right now, you may be wondering, why do we even need more Black women in STEM? Some may argue that it'll only reinforce tokenism, a word defined by Merriam-Webster as the practice or policy of making only a symbolic effort as to desegregate. Tokenism is harmful because it's only a shallow form of diversity. The importance of Black women in STEM is their unique voice. And to avoid tokenization, we have to actually allow them to have that voice. STEM is a job field that emphasizes innovation and efficiency. Each team member has a different world perspective and unique experiences that can aid in that innovation. And it's both essential and beneficial for each team member to have their own voice. This voice is incredibly important in the medical field. Yeah. Roughly half of white medical and residents believed at least one falsehood about Black people's pain response in comparison to white people's. For example, that Black people have physically thicker skin than white people, or that Black people's pain receptors are less sensitive than their white counterparts. These falsehoods held by actual medical professionals may be the reason that Black people are often undertreated for their pain. Having physicians that can directly empathize with their patients because of shared worldviews and shared outlooks is crucial. In general, though, getting more Black women in STEM will cause a chain effect of representation. By showing Black girls early on that they can succeed in STEM, they may want to go into it themselves. And as a result, those Black girls will turn into the Black women that'll be role models for future generations. In addition, it'll just make the STEM workplace a lot more inviting because it's a lot more comforting for women of color to work alongside colleagues that look like them. Hopefully, By increasing representation of Black women in STEM, we'll also one day be able to increase that 2.5%. Thank you.